Prophethood was meant to be a struggle. Carrying the message of God to humanity will not be easy. So after things started to go well for the Muslims and life was getting stable in Mecca, two disasters took place that really hurt the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. He referred to this as the year of sorrow. In this year, his uncle Abu Talib and months later his wife Khadija died. Abu Talib had continued to support the Prophet and sacrifice so much of his own well-being, but unfortunately, he refused to accept Islam even on his deathbed. As he was dying of a sickness, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came and pleaded with him, but he was so sad when his last words were, "I am following the religion of my father Abdul Muttalib." It looked like being accepted in memory in such a way meant so much more than the truth that he had seen over and over and over. And then months later, Khadija, the beloved wife of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, his main supporter, his close companion, his rock, died after that. The Prophet's grief was no doubt overwhelming. He had lost his internal support in his wife, his emotional, loving, bonding support. She was always there for him. She also put her whole entire wealth in the cause of Islam. And then his external political support was lost as well. So the Prophet found himself in a very difficult situation. But despite his sadness, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, needed to react quickly so he could help protect the Muslims from the constant plots of the Quraysh. He decided to seek help outside the city of Mecca, looking for another place to take refuge. So he took his son Zayd and headed to the city of Taif, which was about a half-day journey southeast of Mecca. The Taif tribe reigned in Taif, and they shared economic and religious interests with the Quraysh. But the Prophet thought that maybe they might be more open due to the competitive nature between tribes. The leaders of Taif listened to the Prophet and he came to them for many days, but they kept giving him the cold shoulder. Then they began to mock him, and then by the time he had realized that there is no hope here, they sent the town's children and the fools to come after him, insulting him and throwing and pelting them with stones. So the Prophet and Zayd ran out of the city, bearing their bruises and scrapes, until they finally came upon an orchard in a farm that was owned by a couple of Meccans. They were tired, humiliated, and injured. They found no protection or humanity from the people of Taif. And so the Prophet turned to God and prayed a humble prayer, admitting his weaknesses and helplessness, asking for divine support. The two owners of the orchard saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, praying, and decided to send their servant Addas to give him some grapes. When Addas came and gave the Prophet some grapes, he saw the Prophet say, "Bismillah," in the name of God. Addas was a Christian from Persia, and he was surprised because Arabs don't usually bless their food before they eat. The Prophet asked him where he's from, and Addas said he was from Nineveh. The Prophet commented, "And that is the land of my brother Jonah, son of Matta." Addas responded, "How do you know who Jonah is?" The Prophet said, "Jonah and I are brothers in prophethood." Addas, as the hadith mentions, then kissed his head and his hands and embraced Islam. When the Prophet and Zayd returned to the outskirts of Mecca, and the Prophet sent messages to different tribes, wondering, how am I going to find political asylum? And one or after another came and said, we cannot give you any help. And they even were consoling. They realized the situation he was in. But then one noble from the tribe of Khuza'ah, his name was Mut'im, he came to the Prophet and listened and heard him out, and he offered him asylum and protection. The Prophet definitely accepted. Mut'im and his tribe then went to the Kaaba to announce their protection of Muhammad and his followers. Abu Jahl then immediately questioned him, "Are you protecting or are you following Muhammad?" wanting to see if they were Muslims, which of course then they would get no respect. Mut'im said, "I'm just protecting him." And then Abu Jahl accepted. Surely the Quran consoled the Prophet, just as it does all of us until the Day of Judgment. As the Quran says, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. There is no doubt that with hardship comes ease. Truly, with hardship comes ease. And soon it will be that perhaps the most amazing experience in an event that would give new meaning to the comfort and ease that would guide the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, for the next half of his prophethood.